would like to introduce our panelists. As you can see on the screen, tonight we will be joined by Trey, our school director, Brian, who is the primary school principal and kindergarten director. We will be joined by David, our secondary school principal, Olena Kovalenko, director of Ukrainian school, Peter House, athletics director, Tatiana Dronchak, admissions manager, and my name is Nikita and I'm communications and marketing manager. And I would like to hand over to Trey.
Hi, thank you so much, Nikita. First, before we talk about what tonight's about, I just want to thank you all for joining us. This has been a wonderful turnout. We're excited. And as we go through the evening, you'll have a chance to listen to numerous members of the team speak to you about parts of our school and aspects of our program. And not only are we excited, we think this is a wonderful moment just to have a community experience where we're talking about a school, but I want to make sure that what tonight is also about is building a future for Ukraine. And I hope by the end of this evening, we've been able to communicate to you how much we feel that our school is a pivotal and vital piece of that. So we're going to talk about our school and who we are, but we really are going to dig into the learning. Like tonight is about getting you excited as parents. It's about what we do and how we feel a good education works, right? And that is about making it joyful. The research shows that if children are enjoying their learning improves, but they also need to be challenged. And personalized learning is the idea that not all students learn at the same pace or learn in the same ways. We'll talk about our operations as a school, all the different aspects of the technical parts of our school. And then Tatiana's going to walk us through admissions and the enrollment process. And then finally, we'll get to some Q&A. Thank you. Okay, we are approaching our 30-year anniversary. I'm kind of working backward on the slides here, but it's important to note how our school started. Right? On the first day of the first year of our school, what made our school really special is it was founded by parents. And it was a group of parents who came together and believed that what this city needed was a true, authentic international school. And what that meant is that they had power, empowerment, and they had agency from the very beginning. And what I'm happy to tell you tonight is that we still feel strongly that that is in our DNA as a school. We'll talk more about this later in terms of engagement of parents and what parent voice means for us. Let me just say that we have a commitment to the idea that this is not a child in a classroom. It is a school serving a family, and we see parents as part of the learning team. So I just want to start by this founding moment. It's an exciting part of who we are and what makes us special. We are thriving. I just want to point out, we'll talk about our school numbers right now, our student numbers. Last year, we opened with 86 students. We're now at nearly 150. So we've been growing very methodically, very, very slowly. And the reason we are doing that is we're so particular about the quality of our community. And what that means is, what type of families are we inviting into our community? We are stewards of our culture. We're stewards of the quality of the interactions in our school. We take it very seriously that those families who join us embrace our culture, embrace our values, embrace our norms. So when I say we're thriving, yes, we're growing, but our programs are constantly increasing in size and scope and quality, and the students, our expectations and the accountability elements of making sure that students are learning and also reaching their aspirations. And finally, as I said, we're going into our 30th anniversary next year. That means that this school, knowing the history of Ukraine, that means this school has been through a great deal, as have you all, to reach this point. And we're going through a great deal now. The stalwart and resolute nature of this organization has been true throughout its entire history. And that legacy of resilience and determination and commitment to mission is still with us today. All right. If you talk to the members of this panel tonight, there are a lot of years of education, a lot of years of educational experience. And I think one of the things we would all agree is that when you're looking at a school, you have to really take a close look at their guiding statements. These are mission and vision, but for us, I want to talk about this first one. We have a motto at our school. It's a place where we belong. Now, it sounds simple, but those 5 words for us are packed with meaning, and they're not just framed on the wall, gathering dust. This is what we talk about. This is how we speak about our success. Um, it is a guiding light, if you will, for how we talk about our programs. And if we're going to make a decision about whether to make a change to our school or to grow some part of our school, we are always thinking about, are we continuing to create a school where everyone feels a part, everyone feels safe, everyone feels included, and everyone feels celebrated? And if you look at our mission, you'll see we're repeating this language again about joyful, challenging, and personalized, and inclusive international community. The culture of our school, I'm just going to be open with you right now. During the conflict or after the full-scale invasion, when it began, our school had 550 students. Around 35% to 40%, I believe, of those students. I joined last year, so I'm at 40% Ukrainian. The rest were international students. Well, in moving to Poland at the beginning of the conflict, we embedded in a school there, an international school, American School of Warsaw, and lost a large number of our students. And now we've returned to Kyiv last year. This is an important part of who we are, that we came home and we opened this campus during a war to make a statement and to reflect the resolute nature of this nation and its people. Now, at this point, we are the other way around. Most of our families right now are Ukrainian, but I want to say a lot of them have international experience. And again, we embrace those norms and values. So I just want to assure you that we have a large number of Ukrainian students. We are an international school. And I'll talk more about the other nations that are represented in our student body. And finally, our vision. We believe in student voice. We believe in family voice. We believe in teacher voice. It is woven within who we are, that we expect people to speak and talk about what they think and what they need. And we don't just hear that, we listen. Passion is so important to a successful school. So when we say passion is nurtured, again, it's that personalized idea of making sure that all of our students, what they care about, what they want to do with their lives, is not only seen, but it's celebrated. And Worlds Connected, as an international school, we talk a lot about global citizenship and a global mindset. This is an idea of not just respecting other cultures, but understanding the importance of the fabric of the world as we know it, and having an internal language of celebration of those things. So these are our guiding statements. I really invite you to take some time after tonight to go and think about these and reflect on these, because these tell you essentially who we are. Nikita? Thank you. Okay, accreditation. It's very important to always take a look at how a school proves to external agencies that they meet the quality expectations that you want as parents, right? We get a lot of parents now who might not be familiar with the International Baccalaureate. We're going to talk more about this. David is definitely going to speak to this as well. The International Baccalaureate is the premier international diploma. It's multifaceted. It has all aspects, not just academic, but also profiles of what a student should be. It's a very rigorous program. We have different tracks for students, but if you receive an International Baccalaureate diploma, it is one of the most respected diplomas you can receive internationally for universities. And our other accrediting agency is one of the lead agencies out of the United States, which works with international schools, and that is New England Association of Schools and Colleges, which we call NEASC. We received our next 5-year term for NEASC beginning of not last year, but the year before. So we're at the very beginning of our 5-year qualification, which is a great thing, which means that we won't have to start that process again for another couple of years. But these are your 2 primary certifications and accreditations. We have others, but these are the lead ones. Please, Nikita, thank you. All right, our board. A board of directors, I'm sure many of you who work in the business world, and boards of directors are so important to an organization. A faulty or dysfunctional board can kill a school, and it can kill a company. The opposite is also true. An excellent board with committed members who know the school, who are passionate about the school, and sacrifice their time. Because remember, board members for a school like ours, they're volunteers. They're not paid to do what they do. That should tell you something about the passion they show. So as you join the school, do know joining our board is something that is an option. We have elections on an annual basis to replace a certain component of our board. We can talk more about that later, of course. But this is another thing of having parent engagement. There are few opportunities within our school that are more excellent to be engaged with our school than working on our board. You're plugged into all aspects of governance, the logistics of the school, the finance, all those things. So it's an exciting opportunity. The last thing I'll say about the board, we're committed to keeping an international component on the board. Right now, upwards of 50% of our board are international, and we try to keep it that way as we move forward, even with earlier, as I said, such a large percentage of our students presently being Ukrainian. Okay, so here we are. The key to any school in terms of delivering a world-class education is hiring a world-class staff. Hiring and retaining a world-class team. And what you're looking at in this photo is a world-class team. It is the consummate combination, the most beautiful combination of local staff and expats. Our international component of our staff, if you combine our leadership team and our faculty, next year will be around 70% of our team will be international, representing upwards of 9 countries. This is incredible. We had to kind of start from scratch. Back in 2023, we lost a great number of our staff when the war started. So when I came in with a large number of the team, we rebuilt from there, and we've been really successful with that. I want to point out something that is unusual in an international school. Last year, when we asked our teachers to commit to coming back to the school, something happened that I've never seen. This is my 7th school. I've never seen this, not once in my life. 100% retention. Every single expat teacher returned this year, even during that year of conflict that we experienced as a school and all the challenges of reopening. This is probably one of the more emotional pieces for me. And then I have another piece of news for you. After a year of teaching in a war, this year, they had to again commit because we're on 1-year contracts now because of the war. 94% of our expats are returning, and we're adding 3 new international teachers for next year. So this is the backbone of our school. You're looking at it there. Let me say something about PTA. I understand that the Parent-Teacher Association means different things for different schools. For us, it is a forum and community of parents who are committed to enriching our community through activities, events, culture, supporting our students in their service. It is an amazing thing to go to a PTA meeting at our school. About 30% of our parents are involved in PTA, which might sound low, but that's just not true. Having parents take the time and give the energy to come and meet and work and plan and envision what the school should be, to have that many parents in our school involved at the level that they are, is truly inspiring. And it's a benefit to the school. I'm going to keep this theme of voice valued and the idea of all members of our community being involved in decision making, in planning how to make ourselves better. The parents are vital. They're absolutely vital to that. So you would be joining a school where parents are celebrated in their voice, and the PTA is where that starts and where it's realized. Okay, so let's dig a little bit deeper on the idea of personalized learning. As educators, let's take a step back. Education has changed greatly in the last 20 years, particularly. One of the things I'd like to share with you about those changes in education, especially international education, is we've moved away from this idea of what they used to call sage on the stage learning, or the teacher just lecturing for an entire class and kids just taking notes. Education, this dynamic has really shifted. And where we are now in education is that we really empower the student to lead their own learning. And just think about that change and what that means in terms of personalization, in terms of a student being able to know that they're leading their own experience, that they're part of their own journey, right? As a leader of it. They're not just recipients of information. They're empowering their own growth. It leads to better learning. It leads to better outcomes for the student. It leads to better confidence, and it makes them more prepared for the future, for which we're not really sure what the future holds, whether it's technology and other aspects of our reality. But what you teach students is the ability to collaborate, to adapt, to take information and grow their own understanding of it. And frankly, that allows for making sure that students are challenged, because it allows you to move and adapt their experience with them. And of course, anyone who's empowered is more joyful. That's true for you. It's true for me as well. So we're kind of digging now into our philosophy of learning, which as parents is probably one of the more important things that you're here to learn about. Okay, I'm going to quickly kind of share with you the structure of our school. Again, many of you might not be familiar with the International Baccalaureate. The International Baccalaureate is based on 3 levels. It starts with the primary years program, the PYP, and that's kindergarten to grade 5, right? The middle years program, or MYP, is grades 6 to 10. And finally, in your last 2 years as a student at an IB school, you're in the Diploma program. It's a 2-year program. At the end of your 12th grade year, you will take a series of qualifying exams in those courses. And with the scores from those exams, you receive your diploma with the sufficient points. And what we like to do is show you the grade breakouts for the IB and how they match up with how our school is actually structured, right? And you'll see kindergarten and primary school make up PYP. And you'll see the secondary school, which is middle and high school, match up with the MYP and DP respectively. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm going to hand this over to Brian Reardon, our primary principal.
Hello, everyone. Very nice to speak to you this evening. I'm going to briefly explain to you a little bit about our kindergarten program, and then on the next slide, more about our primary school program. It's not going to be enough time to go into depth about the amazing environments that we have. So hopefully I can touch upon these main areas. And of course, our school's always open if you want to come in and meet our teachers and see our classrooms and see the teaching and learning that's occurring there. So our kindergarten program is strongly aligned with play-based learning. We understand that right from birth, children are hands-on natural inquirers, and they learn through playful interactions with other people and the environment. So play is, in fact, an essential part of a child's healthy development. Part of that development, obviously, is in the area of skills. And you can see there it's not a very big picture, but 5 core skill areas. And these skills run right throughout all the IB programs, the PYP, the MYP, and the DP. And really, as the children progress through the different grades, these skills are more explicitly taught, but especially in our kindergarten classes, it's those play-based opportunities where the children are given the chance to develop these skills and really developing the foundations of these skills when they move through the grades and get to that explicit teaching of these skills. More emphasis put on the social and the self-management and communication skills in the kindergarten, but also those thinking and research skills come in throughout the year as well. Our literacy and numeracy through authentic learning experiences. And I guess the best way that I can explain that is to give you an example of currently what's happening in one of our kindergarten classrooms. They're doing a unit on how we express ourselves. So looking at feelings, different ways of expression. And they're actually looking at a well-known Ukrainian artist, Maria Primchenko, who's famous for her natural paintings of wildlife, of flowers and plants. So our kindergarten students are going out into our campus. They're looking at the trees and the shrubs that we have. They have flowers within the classroom. They're painting, they're drawing, they're discussing the shapes that they're seeing. So they're bringing in that maths, the lines, the symmetry. So it's really those authentic, real world experiences that are really emphasized in our kindergarten, but really throughout all our grade levels, especially in the primary school. English language development through rich oral language environment, a lot of songs, a lot of repetition of sounds, rhyme, a lot of discussion, a lot of explanation. And when those real world experiences are brought into the classroom, it's those discussions, those rich oral language discussions that pulls out the vocabulary that our early years children are being exposed to. Social emotional learning, a huge part of not only our kindergarten program, but all our classes throughout our school, actually. But especially in kindergarten, it's developing friendships and what it means to be friends, sharing, caring, looking after each other, supporting each other, all those really sort of key areas that not only children at the moment are as important for, but also all of us as adults as well. Flexible learning spaces. This is quite different to how you and I may have gone to school, where we sit in one place throughout the whole day and all of the learning we get in the same place. In our kindergarten classrooms, they have flexible learning spaces where they move around to different areas within the classroom. And as Trey mentioned earlier about this personalization, developing that understanding in our kindergarten students that they have choice, that they have voice, and they have ownership of their learning, even through the simple idea of being able to move to a literacy corner or a maths corner, and even the behaviors in these different areas, the expectations are different. So it's those deep understandings that are being developed through that flexible learning spaces and that idea of personalization. The learning of school routines, obviously really important. That structure is there, that provides that security. And of course, with all of that, our kindergarten students are usually pretty tired by lunchtime, and we do offer afternoon sleep options for those kindergarten students. And as we find throughout the year, many of them will transition back into full days within the classroom. So that's a brief outline of our kindergarten programs. Really, play is the primary driver for inquiry for our kindergarten programs. Now, moving on to our rest of the primary school, grades 1 through 5. Each students have a homeroom teacher. So that homeroom teacher is responsible for delivering language, maths, social studies, and science, those core subjects. And those are taught through what we call units of inquiry. And we have 6 units of inquiry throughout the year, each unit lasting about 6 weeks. We do talk a lot about the transdisciplinary nature of our program. And that means essentially that these core subjects, whether it be science or whether it be maths, are sort of integrated into these units of inquiry. I mentioned how we express ourselves earlier as an example of one of our units. So within that major theme of how we express ourselves, they'll break that down further and look at some big concepts. And within that theme, they'll look for natural connections for maths and science and social studies. So that integrated, complete package unit, and we understand that when children are making connections between their learning, that's really, really helping and pushing them along in their development. They also have specialist teachers for art, music, physical education, Ukrainian and Spanish as they get a bit older. Our units of inquiry, again, we try and bring in as much as possible, again, that real world application. So we like to think of this inquiry as starting from a local context and then sort of moving out, so that after a few weeks, the children are exploring ideas at a global level. And personal. So we honor what the students are bringing into the classroom. We honor the previous learning that they've had. We honor their passions, their interests, and that's our starting point. And it's a very powerful starting point. It's hugely engaging for students. when they're learning about things that they want to be learning about. Sometimes our literacy and numeracy doesn't tightly connect to our units, so we sometimes have to have those what we call standalone, and it's explicitly taught some mathematic concepts which don't naturally connect with the unit that they may be studying. I mentioned in the kindergarten about our skills, hugely emphasized in the grades 1 through 5 as well, our thinking skills, communication skills, and this is where we start explicitly teaching these skills. And as I said, that runs right through all the programs at PSI. And finally, reflection being a core component in all areas of our learning, stopping and thinking about the knowledge or the understandings that we've developed, how we sort of express those understandings and be able to explain those understandings, different ways of showing those understandings, thinking about what we could have done differently, what we could have done better, thinking about what went well. And so reflecting on a daily basis and really powerful to sort of move development and move learning forward. So that's, in a nutshell, the kindergarten and the primary school, the key areas of our programs. It's a bit hard to explain in a short amount of time. And as I said, you're always welcome to come in and have a closer look and meet people and see that teaching and learning in action. I'm sure you'll be very impressed with it. Thank you very much.
Trey, you're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikita. That would have been useless, right? For me to continue speaking on mute. Before we move on to Dr. Freeman, as he walks us through the secondary school, I just want to make a couple comments to kind of segue. We're the only school in Ukraine that offers PYP primary years, MYP middle years, and the diploma program. Only one that does that. And it allows us to create an entire pre-K through 12 experience at our school that builds on itself. It's a really great advantage for us. Technical note or practical note, I want to point out, we are going to be adding to our kindergarten and early years services for students all the way till 6 o'clock. We don't have that presently, but we will have it next year. So those parents that are interested in exploring our school who have kids in that part of the school, that will be available. But now I would love to hand this over to Dr. Freeman, who will walk us through secondary.
Thank you, Trey. One of the things that I want to talk about initially, and that is the middle years program. People need to understand that adolescence is a tumultuous time. Whether you have teenagers or you were a teenager or your kids are about to become teenagers, you can understand that they are at times bouncing off the walls. So part of our program design is to have padded walls. So when they hit those walls, they don't hurt themselves. As you can see, we have advisory classes and increased independence as they move through that transitional time between the later years of their primary experience and before they get into the rigors of the diploma program. They experience what we call the middle years program. During that time, they're exposed to a lot of conceptual learning and inquiry-based learning. It is intensive when it comes to the information. However, we spend most of my time helping them learn how to learn. And you think they have had all of that experience in the primary years, and they have, but as their brains and their bodies change, a lot of that wiring has to be rewired. And so we spent a lot of time working on that individual and helping them come to grips with who they are as individuals and how they can move forward, essentially in their new lives. So if we can, let's go ahead and move on to the next slide if we can. All right. In high school, in the last 2 years of high school, they are still in the middle years program, but the big transition happens that they're actually earning credits towards graduation. In the high school, they earn credit hours, and that counts as 1 full year. It's based kind of on the Carnegie system, but it's moved a little bit away from that. Essentially, there are 3 ways for them to finish their high school program. One is the standard high school diploma, which is the equivalent to a diploma that we awarded to a student who finishes high school in the United States or Canada. The second option is when they earn that high school diploma and they take IB certificates. I'll get into a little bit more detail what the International Baccalaureate diploma program is. And then the final option is the high school diploma and the IB diploma. The IB diploma is not awarded by us, but is awarded by the International Baccalaureate. Now, one of the reasons why having that IB diploma is so valuable is that it is internationally recognized as the Cadillac of educational programs. That's a reference to a high-end American car. The IB diploma is indicates to a university that this child, young adult, is actually research ready. And I say that what I mean is a child who is entering university, that young adult is ready for the university experience. And that isn't true for a lot of kids who finish high school. And you have to think of a university as a business. A university may not be a business for profit, but they want to be successful. And the way they gauge their success is, does that person who enters in year one finish with a diploma at year 3 or year 4, depending on the program? Well, the student who's most likely to finish a university program is that person who graduated from high school with an IB diploma. So when a university looks at an IB graduate, they say, hey, this person's more likely to finish than another person with maybe the same equivalent kind of grades or credits. So that's one of the reasons why the IB is considered, like I said, the gold standard of high school programs. Let's go ahead and move on to our next slide. All right, this is where we get to brag about where our kids have gone. And list is very, very short, but it is much more extensive. But you can see very quickly when you look at that, you can look at McGill University and the University of Toronto in Canada, and you look across the European Union, you see all the top names of schools where we have students attending. Certainly in the UK, we can talk about the one of our students within the last couple of days has just received an acceptance from the University College London. We've also have students at the London School of Economics. And in North America, you name it, we've got it. We've got kids who've gone to Harvard and Brown and Duke and Stanford and Cal Berkeley and University of Washington. So, I mean, the top universities in the U.S., our kids have gone there. And again, one of the reasons being is the universities see accepting one of our students as a good investment because they've got that IB diploma, which means they're more likely to finish their university experience. And like I said, a university is essentially our next customer, where we send our product. And so we know they're going to be successful if they've finished their IB diploma. We have a number of tracks within the IB, one of those being that we can prepare a student who wants to pursue engineering or prepare a student who wants to pursue the medical arts. We have multiple language tracks as well. So we have a variety of programs within the IB that we can offer for young people so that they can choose their path in life. It's a little bit cruel to ask a 17-year-old to map out their life's work, but if they so do so, we got a path for them.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Freeman. As Brian was saying, please, if you walk out of this meeting tonight and you have further questions or tomorrow something comes to it, please reach out. We're all here to serve you guys as aspiring and potential members of our community. So, and I know I speak for Dr. Freeman that the IB can be a new experience for those who are not familiar with it. I really invite you all to take some time to go online and read about the International Baccalaureate. It's as much as it's an academic program. It's a curricular approach. It's a philosophy of learning, but really is about building a successful young person into a place where they can have a successful life. We strongly advocate that you guys learn more about it on your own. The 4 areas that we really focus on at our school. I want to start with the most important, obviously, physical safety. We'll be talking about our bomb shelters and our protocols in a moment. But we, of course, it is sacred and non-negotiable that everything we do as a school is dedicated to maintaining the health and physical safety of our students. And given what we're all facing right now, we all agree that those things have to be clear. The students have to understand what's expected of them, and that most importantly, all our staff are trained and aware of their responsibilities and obligations to keep your young ones in the safest place possible. Brian brought up social emotional learning. I want to talk a bit about that. In addition to academics, I've been talking about change in the world of education. One of the things that we know, and this is research driven, is that the whole child is our focus. Yes, their academic ability, growing them as young scholars, all very critical. It's our mission. But also part of our mission is to make sure that we understand our students and we're providing them with the tools and skills to be happy and healthy in themselves. And so when we talk about social emotional learning, there's a very strong structured approach to making sure that kids are learning trust, they're learning collaboration, they're learning healthy risk taking, and all the different elements that are emotional aspects of your child as much as they're purely academic ones. Psychological safety, our school takes great pains to be informed in the area of trauma and anxiety. In our environment right now, when we think about the stresses that our young ones are going through, along with ourselves, as they are developing, they are very vulnerable to high levels of stress and trauma. And it can actually change brain structure and neurological pathways. So we as a school make it a priority to be trained in trauma-informed practice, and also we have an incredibly strong psychological approach. It's a full spectrum approach. Teachers are involved, leadership is involved. Of course, our psychological team is involved in making sure that we understand our students and are meeting their needs. And the last piece, growing that academic culture. Growing a culture where it's cool to be smart. It's cool to be academically advanced. It's actually admirable among peers that someone's getting into a good school. This is a high priority for us as well, and a major focus. Thank you. Okay, a couple more things that make us who we are. When this is not just students, what we're about to talk about really quickly here, this is teachers and parents as well. We are a collaborative environment. We expect and we hold each other accountable for working with others effectively. This requires being able to communicate. It requires being able to understand the needs of others. It's about understanding where you fit in a shared project. And again, teachers, parents, and students, right? And we feel like we have a pretty rich environment for that, where people can say what they feel. We are also a community that's based on respect and mutual regard. We understand that being able to talk to each other and give information and feedback. And this all really sits on the ability for the individual to take time and reflect upon themselves, and not just how they feel, but what they know and what they need to know. And it's interesting because we have student councils for the students themselves to do these things, and they have voice in those groups. They get to speak to policy. They get to speak to everything from cafeteria and hallway rules. And do they get everything they want? Of course not. But that's not really the key. The key is, or the point. The point is the experience for a young person. We'll call it a fledgling democratic concept where you're debating, you're trying to figure out what you as a group want, and being able to express that to the leadership of the school in a way that makes sense. It's very powerful to have these. We have a parent liaison group. It's a smaller group of parents invited to come and speak with leadership, and it's in this group that we wrestle with the things that we need to do to improve as a school. If parents have concerns, if they have questions they're brought, it's a really effective way for this group. And we see them as much as ambassadors, as parent reps. I mean, because they know the school too. And you can imagine, like, if you're a parent and you don't know much about what's going on behind the scenes at the school, you might not know all the nuance, all the subtle things that a certain issue or concept are based in. Well, you come to the parent liaison group, you get an inner look at you get a look under the hood. I'm going to borrow Dr. Freeman's analogy of a car, and you look under the hood and you see how the engine works. And it really does lead to a rich and powerful dialogue. Because once this group of parents know more about what's going on and they understand, they're helpful. They can go communicate to other parents. We have a teacher liaison group that serves the same purpose. And we've already talked about our parent-teacher association. Okay. I'll hand it back over to Nikita.
Thank you, Trey. Now, because of the time limitation, we're going to play just one video, but no worries, you will be able to watch the cutest one with kindergarten students as well. Now, may I ask panelists to show me a thumbs up if you will be able to hear the sound in a good way, okay?
Can you describe a lesson or project that was really exciting?
Yes, I can. For example, when I was doing my Mars project on the first unit, there was a lot of things that were interesting to me, and I learned a lot in that unit because I had to write down a lot of things, and I learned a lot by doing that. First of all, I learned my scavenger hunting skills for getting more information in my head, and also I learned how to show it way better than I used to do it.
That was exciting for me is when I did the city travel guide, and I really liked because we learned a lot of new facts about, personally I learned a lot of new facts about the Eiffel Tower and Mona Lisa. I didn't know what it was made from and what they do to it. And it was really fun writing the city travel guide so other people can look at my presentation and maybe go to those places.
What do you love most about your school?
And then we have a lot of events, and the teachers are amazing. They help every time. Also, we have a charity that helps children. We have different trips to some interesting museums like art museum or something like art history. And also I like when we have a PE because we play some different games.
We play games, and we do stuff that in most of the schools students don't do because this is an international schools, and in Ukrainian schools people don't, even in Ukrainian private schools, people don't play games as much as we do. Every morning we have a rhythm game, and that makes our observing skills and hiding skills better. Also, we have we play in snow on Opal, and if we're a little bit late to the class, we don't get punished. We just tell that we need to listen to the teacher when the Opal is over. So we don't get punished for doing something wrong. We just improve from our mistakes. I love most about the school is that teaching, learning could be really fun, especially where teachers give us games, but the games teach you. It's not only about having fun, it's also about learning. And every day we play another game, but we play a lot of games. And on recess, we go outside, we can play in the snow. It's really fun, and we have a really big campus.
If a new student joined our class, what would you tell them about PSI?
I couldn't tell anyone anything because I just came not long ago. It's just, I see how people acted when I was a new student. People were really kind, they were helpful, they were being kindly, friendly. They were always kind, and even now that I'm in the school already for more than 3 weeks, people still are really kind. It's not like you're a new student, you come. they will be kind to you, and then they're not kind. Actually, everybody's kind, and I like that. Yeah, that's the best part about being a new student. Everyone's kind. Everybody's talking to you. Everybody. I had a good English level, and everybody gave compliments, and that's really kind. And people are just kind. They just, yeah.
And on that kind note, I'm going to hand over to Tatiana that will have a quick chat with our secondary school students.
Thank you, Nikita. We are delighted to have our secondary students, Alexandra, who is in grade 8, Sophia, who is in grade 10, and we also have Lubomir, who is our graduate. He is in grade 12 at the moment. So let me ask our students a few questions. I believe you will be happy to hear their answers. So we'll start with Alexandra. And Alexandra, could you please share how was your transition to PSI as it's your first year? And what advice would you give to any new student joining PSI?
Well, my transition to PSI went through very well because, first of all, I was doing it through a foundation, and all I had to do is basically pass some tests. It was math and English, which weren't really hard, though I was a little bit stressed and nervous, but it went really well. Everybody supported me. You gave me so much time for this because I just couldn't gather my mind and my thoughts and organize myself. But also then we had some meeting with Mr. McCullough, our school psychologist, and I wasn't really worried after that. And my biggest advice for the new students joining PSI is not to worry about anything, because I was stressed and I thought that my English skills would not be enough. But when I came to PSI, I immediately realized that, first of all, the program is not that hard in the 8th grade. So all the teachers explain everything and repeat many times as much as you ask them, and everything went fine. So even there are people in our class whose English skills might not be enough. They can speak sometimes or don't understand something, and all of them receive help, and they understand now.
Okay, thank you very much, Alexandra. So we move to Sophia. Could you please share us, Sophia, in what ways have you seen yourself grow since you started at PSI? Because if I'm not mistaken, you're with us since grade 1.
Yeah, I'm here from ECU. It's from 3 years old. And since I joined PSI, well, it was a long time ago, I have grown in a lot of skills. The main one is leadership skills, critical thinking, and creativity. So our PSI teacher community really encourages us to partake in student leadership. And if there are some visits to a center, for example, Dacha, they're really supportive and they give the foundation that people need to get started. And in student leadership, a lot of the times we make different bake sales where we raise money and everything like that.
Okay, thank you, Sophia. And maybe one more question. Could you describe relationships between students and teachers from your point of view?
The relationship between students and teachers are really great. They give really supportive and engaging programs that help us develop in different skills. For example, if someone is more of a visual learner, they will adapt to that. If someone learns better while discussing, they will also help with that. And a lot of the times, if you don't understand something, you can ask to stay 10 minutes after class, and they will happily explain something to you, and that really helps.
Thank you very much, Sophia. And Lubomir, Lu, what is the thing about learning at PSI that has motivated you academically or personally?
I think one of the main motivators for me to keep learning is the structure of teaching at PSI. Instead of just like throwing individual pieces of information at me, I get to connect like big ideas together. So for example, if I learn something at math, I can see the same concept at my economic subject, and then from that, I can apply that to my global politics course, for example. And that allows me not to just like learn one equation and that's it. It allows me to see the big picture of things, and it just makes me more curious about what's beyond it. What can I learn even more about this subject? And this is something I've experienced since I joined PSI, and I'm sure this will carry on when I join the university. And after that, this like forms the way I think, to be honest.
Okay, thank you very much, Lubomir. And the last question, what opportunities at PSI allow you to explore your interests, hobbies, maybe talents outside of the classroom?
I think the greatest opportunity for that would be CAS. That's a subject, that's a mandatory subject that students encounter in 11th and 12th grade. We are encouraged to start to like do different creativity activities and like to do service outside of the class, outside of school. And that allows me to really deep into like who am I personally, and it expands me from just being a student who learns like one thing or another to really growing as a person and knowing who I am because of this opportunity.
Thank you, Lubomir. And the next slide, passing over to Trey.
Sorry, in the interest of time, we're we've talked about a lot of this, and I think the details of flex blocks, and we've hit these topics, so we're going to probably move on to the next slide to make sure that we can get through everything in the next few minutes here. I'm going to say this really quickly. You can see that we've got arrival at 8, and lessons go from 8:15 to 8:30, and when basically, they either begin at 8:15 or 8:30, depending on what part of the school you're in. They finish at 3:30 or 15:30 hours, and co-curricular activities will go after that. Okay, we have some elements of the school. We have a learning support team. We have English as additional language, and we have a counseling team. A lot of our structure is based around student need. We have an advisory program that's based in our homeroom. I already talked about social emotional learning, and we also have teaching partners that support our teachers. We have a technology focus going into the next couple of years. We want to become the lead international tech school in Ukraine, and we have aspects of that we could dig in at another time. Service is a big part of our school, as we discussed earlier. Thank you. I believe this
Олена?
Добрий вечір. Я Олена Коваленко, директор української школи. Шановні батьки, ми хочемо представити сьогодні вам нашу українську школу. Українська школа є частиною освітніх послуг, які надає міжнародна школа. Ми маємо державну ліцензію. Всі учні нашої школи отримують документи про освіту державного зразку. Основна ідея нашої школи – це поєднати українське та міжнародне навчання, тобто поєднати українську та міжнародну програму. В українській школі викладаються лише предмети українознавчого циклу. Це історія України, українська мова, українська література, географія України та захист України. Інші предмети ми перезараховуємо з IB-програми. Навчання в українській школі відбувається за екстернатною формою. Це лише один навчальний день на тиждень, а решту часу наші діти приділяють міжнародній програмі. Важливою перевагою нашої школи є те, що по завершенню навчання наші учні отримують 2 документи про освіту. Це український і міжнародний документ про освіту. Викладацький склад української школи на сьогоднішній день налічує 11 висококваліфікованих педагогів. 3 з них мають науковий ступінь кандидата наук. 6 мають вищу категорію. Ми дуже пишаємося нашим молодим і динамічним колективом, який завжди готовий до сучасних викликів у сфері освіти. І на сьогоднішній день ми впевнені, що така організація навчання, яка в нас є, дозволить вашим дітям здобути всебічну освіту, яка відкриє для них двері до найкращих можливостей у майбутньому. Дякую за увагу. Чекаємо з нетерпінням зустрічі з вами.
Дякуємо, пані Олено. And now we would like to hand over to Peter to talk about co-curricular program.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here. I'm pleased to introduce our co-curricular program, a key part of our school life that extends beyond the classroom. The program helps students to develop skills, explore new passions, and build confidence, supporting both personal and academic growth. We run 3 seasons, autumn, winter, and spring, each lasting 10 weeks. A wide range of activities are offered Monday to Friday from students kindergarten to grade 12. Sessions take place after the final class block, running from 3:30 to 4:30, with competitive activities extending until 5 p.m. All activities take place on our campus, utilizing our excellent sports facilities, including our full-size gym, 25-meter swimming pool, 7-a-side football pitch, and a 200-meter track. Training sessions are led by qualified coaches or our experienced teachers. What makes our program stand out is the combination of local and international reach. As the member of the Central and Eastern European School Association, CESA, our students have the opportunity to travel to tournaments across the region. Locally, we have collaboration with other schools through the Kyiv School Sports League, KSSL, to provide competitive and friendly matches. This program is more than just sports and activities. It's an opportunity for students to grow, challenge themselves, and create lasting memories. Thank you, and I look forward to welcoming you and your child to the PSI Co-curricular experience.
We're going to need to run through these rather quickly. We just do this directly to the next slide for me, Nikita. I think Peter just did an amazing job talking about our facilities. The sports facilities, yes. We also have a wonderful auditorium. I really, really invite you guys to come by and see the school. It changes one's point of view, I think, on the value proposition of the school. Safety on campus, we have some of the best bomb shelters, I believe, in the city. At least the security team at the U.S. Embassy said so. And we've converted them into learning spaces so that learning there's a minimum of disruption to learning when we're moving to the shelters. Okay, we have a generator. We actually dug a well. We have CCTV cameras all through the school, and we have a highly professional security team on our campus. Again, remember, physical safety being the most important thing. We've spoken to well-being. It's just who we are in the shelters and out. It's just something that it leads all of our programs and our approach to our kids. We have a full-service cafeteria, and it appeals to our students in a lot of ways because we also have vegetarian offerings, but we also have now reopened our cafe, which is another food offering as well. So I think you'll find the culinary part of our school rich and wide-ranging. Tatiana?
Okay, so it's my part. I will be very fast. Can we move to another slide? Yes, thank you. So this slide represents our community. Currently, PSI is a home for 148 students from kindergarten to grade 12 and representing 10 nationalities. This diversity creates rich learning environment with student-to-teacher ratio of 4:1. We ensure personalized attention and support for each student. If you go to the next slide, you see guidelines on the admissions process, but I want to let you know that following the event, I will send you a detailed guidance on the application process. And in case you'll have any questions and will need any support with going through the application, just feel free to connect with me via email or phone, and I will respond to all questions and make sure to help you. And finally, let me outline our tuition fees for the next school year. Here you will see the annual tuition fee per grade level, along with the strategic development fee, which supports our improvements to campus and facilities. For new students, there is one-time registration and application fee. The tuition fee is paid annually as a single payment. Should you have any questions regarding tuition fees as well, you can always connect with me and I'll explain more. And before we close, I'd like to warmly invite you to our Q&A session, which is a great opportunity to ask questions you have and engage with our leadership team. So please feel free to raise your hands or text your questions in the chat. We'll take a look and make sure to respond live.
And perhaps we can also thank Sophia and Lou and wish them a good night. And yeah, we will see you tomorrow at school. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so we have the first question. Hello, everyone. Is it possible to make an appointment and come for a school tour? Just as Trey mentioned, yes, obviously. We can connect with you, Yulia, following the event, and we'll schedule a tour for you. And there was another question regarding the English level. So for kindergarten students, we do not require any English level. And regarding the MYP program, I would ask David to clarify more about the expectations.
Yeah, the expectation is for a student entering the MYP in grade 6 that they have a substantial amount of English at that point. A child who comes in at grade 6 with no English is going to struggle. But it doesn't mean they have to be a perfect speaker or that they've been studying it for a long time, but they need a functional level of English in order to access the content that is being delivered in the classroom.
Thank you, David. So we have one more question. How many children are there in a class? I can respond if you don't mind. Or Trey, would you like?
No, Tatiana, go for it. You would know that as well, please.
It depends on the grade level. Obviously, the maximum number per grade level is 20, and 22 is in special circumstances. But normally in secondary, we have classes like 12, 13, 14 students. And in primary, this year, we have some classes that are full already. But for the next year, I believe that the range will be the same, like 16, maybe 18 students per class. Do you have a shuttle service? The transportation?
We will have that eventually. We have not put the bus and transportation service back in. We have to have a minimum number of families who are interested in that service to make it affordable for the families. So let me just say, if as you join the school, we will survey that again, and if it's possible to do that, we would do that. But right now, at present, unfortunately, we don't. But we've had it in the past, and we'll have it again in the future.
Any other question?
I'll use this minute to remind everyone that you can visit our website to learn more about our school. We have quite an extensive overview of admissions process in there. And we have 2 more questions.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to read them, Nikita?
Sure. There's a question about homework, whether or not we have it. And yeah, do we have a homework or not? Maybe Brian can answer this. That will be an interesting.
Yeah, sure, I can answer that one. We very much follow research on that, and research shows that in the primary school, especially, the only significant value in homework is in reading. So that's what we emphasize with our primary school classrooms, that children are reading at home. Because I understand also that family time and those development of skills outside of school, those sports, those drama clubs, those dance clubs, they take up a lot of time for students as well. So reading really is key for us in terms of home learning.
If I can answer that for the older kids, it really depends. It escalates as the children get older. The amount of homework that is expected increases. The expectation is by the time a student is in the diploma program, they're doing roughly 2 to 3 hours of homework each evening, but that's a highly demanding academic program. And students who are the most successful will plan to spend 2 or 3 hours each evening, regardless if they have a specific homework assignment. They'll just dedicate that amount of time to making sure they're on top of their assignments.
Thank you, colleagues. Another question is regarding the dress code at school. Is there a uniform?
There is no uniform. This is a conversation that has come up a lot, and I just want to be very clear about this. Our policy is for children to wear appropriate clothing, but we do believe voices valued means that a young person should have some agency over what they're wearing to school. So at this time, we do not have school uniforms.
Yeah, but we do have a dress code, and that dress code is designed by our student leadership. They have put forth some proposals, and the student body itself has decided, what they should wear in the secondary, what's acceptable.
And we have a PE uniform that we give to our new students at the beginning of the year. And also there is another question about the tuition fees, whether the mentioned fee is for the whole from grade 1 to grade 5, or it's a fee per year. So it's a fee per year, but for from grade 1 till grade 5, it's the same. Does the school have sports teams, and do they participate in any competitions?
I will go ahead and answer that one. So yes, we have, as I mentioned, we have 3 seasons, and each seasons have different sports. Currently, in this season, the winter season, we have basketball and swimming. And next Tuesday, actually, we're going to go to a game to a other local school to have a basketball game. In the past, we used to have a lot of sports teams, and then hopefully we're going to get there as our student body grows.
Peter, make a comment about the international tournament that we went to last year.
So, as I mentioned in my slide, we also have this access to go to international tournaments. And in November, we went to Bratislava for a high school football tournament, which was a success. And I would say that these international tournaments usually the highlight for many students.
Thank you, Peter. One more question about technology focus. Tatiana is asking us to share more information about it.
Sure. So there are multiple parts, and Dr. Freeman and I can both speak to this, but we realized this year that it's absolutely vital that we make technology a key component of what makes our school special. And when we say that we're a lead international school, technology and building capacity among our students and staff is step number 1. We're in the process of hiring a new tech director. Literally over the next couple of weeks, this person will come in, join our team, help us create a strategic plan for a child's experience from pre-K all the way to 12. In each grade, what do these kids need to be understanding about technology, and are the teachers capable of providing that? The second piece is we'd like to eventually incorporate IB, computer science, into our school. We would be the only school in Ukraine that does that as well. We want to create a tech hub, this idea of a center that's more than just computers. It's a learning place and a capacity building place, and an informational space. So again, that's part of our growth strategy. Dr. Freeman, you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you covered it. Thank you.
And I think that means that we have no more questions. As we said, we will share the recording of the event with everyone who joined us tonight or was not able, and we will answer to all remaining questions that we can see coming right now via email. Thank you so much for joining us, and we are wishing you a very cold night. До побачення.